Folks,
If you want, you don't have to. You're invited.
the press and the Down Beach Current were notified of this meeting. A copy of same was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building and also on the municipal website. The meeting will come to order. Would you please stand for the flag salute? Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tom, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Becker.
Here.
Mr. Blumberg.
Here.
Ms. Talby.
Here.
You have before you the minutes of our February 6 meetings. What is your pleasure?
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Maury, I don't think you were here.
You can't worry.
I can make the motion. but-
No, you really shouldn't.
I don't think,
I'll make the motion that we accept the minutes.
I'll second that.
Mr. Becker.
Yes.
Ms. Talby.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Welcome back.
My feelings aren't hurt.
Is there any public comment?
Sewell, 22 West Drive. Mayor, the ongoing problems with statements that are made to be considered libelous, slanderous, have to be addressed and have to be addressed once and for all. As I proposed many moons ago, Mayor, if you can recollect, that we should have these issues briefly reviewed by our esteemed solicitor, so we don't have to hire conflict attorneys at $300 an hour to resolve something that a simple mea culpa could resolve. So tonight, I once again call upon this commission to introduce a resolution suggesting, not mandating, that the solicitor have power of review, non-binding, but nevertheless, that power should be in the solicitor's hands to prevent unnecessary litigation by litigious people like yourself, Mayor. You know, you put us on the hook for that defiant trespass when a simple call to our temporary business administrator could have escorted that balabusta out of that premises in about 30 seconds or less, rather than billing the taxpayers. So if you want to be litigious, Mayor, I strongly urge you to be litigious on your own nickel and not that of the taxpayer. A defiant trespass, that is a property issue, and Tom Collins would have the appropriate standing to bring a defiant trespass act. Not an employee, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else?
Evening, Dan Gallagher, Miller Gallagher, and Grimley, on behalf of Gigi Rosenberger Gallagher and Gallagher Rosenberger, I should say, Marketplace Realty. I wrote a letter late this afternoon and sent it to the business administrator and the municipal solicitor with regard to what my client requests of the city. I think they're pretty simple. I'm not here to litigate my case in a public forum. I think what she's requested, she's owed. I said I've Oprah requested and I've received the city's file. I've reviewed the tapes. To Ms. Taub's credit, she did send me an email. My response was the same as it's in my letter, that the city has an attorney and it's not proper for me to have direct communications with you or to have a meeting with you with my client without your attorney there. That's just the nature of it is. That's the rules that we live by as attorneys. But the request has been put in writing. I'd ask that you review. We asked for some simple requests to be done in 2 weeks. Today's 2 weeks, it's up. Mr. Blumberg, you weren't here, but we, hopefully you received a copy of the letter that we sent out today.
I did, thank you.
I would ask that you seriously consider this because it's not a matter that will go away. My client's request to the city doesn't cost them anything, but it means a hell of a lot to my client, who has spent her life in the city, who's donated endless money, time, and effort to make the city a better place, and at a minimum, she's owed what's requested in that letter. So I'll wait for your response. If I don't hear from one, I'll assume that there won't be one, and I'll move forward with my client's request.
Dan,
Thank
we
you.
just, obviously, just as you know, you wrote the letter. We didn't get the letter till
I understood.
very late. Okay, so we will look at it, and somebody will get back to you.
I would ask, and with all due respect, I would ask that I get a response before the next meeting, so I'm not here 2 Thursdays from now, at the evening meeting, writing a letter saying, all right, well, you guys didn't do anything. So if you're going to do something, either positive or negatively, I'd request that it be done within the next 2 weeks.
I will do my utmost to make sure it gets done before 2 weeks, Dan.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
right.
Have a good night.
Dan, the letter was addressed to me and to Scott. I will definitely respond to you before 2 weeks.
Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Sharon Simon, 424 North Thurlow Avenue. In regards to Mr. Gallagher's recent comments, he came here 2 weeks ago. He was very clear that he wanted an apology, which he deserves to have, his client deserves to have. And not only were there misinformation put out in public, but it was also sent to the Attorney General's office and the prosecutor's office. This is a constant thing that happens with Commissioner Tobby. She sent things all the time, looking for more dirt on Tom Hiltner to increase the retaliation whistleblower suit that keeps increasing these legal expenses that we're paying illegally out of contract and keep raising. And everybody just keeps looking the other way. So you have an obligation, every one of you here, to protect, well, actually, Solicitor Abbott is obligated to protect the commission and the commissioners. But who's protecting the taxpayers? Commissioner Blumberg, along with suggestion from Mr. Sewell, has twice proposed a resolution just to protect the taxpayers and the commissioners that are legal representation. This is how most commissions work. Make sure that nothing is being said that affects a current legal matter or could potentially end up in litigation. But Commissioner Tobby vetoed it, of course, because it was mainly targeted to her, but it was also targeted to the mayor. So Mayor Becker, if this is proposed again, I suggest that it is, I know Commissioner Blumberg will approve it. And I think you have an obligation to the citizens of Margate to approve it as well. Why wouldn't you? All it's doing is making sure that the solicitor is able to do his job. And if in fact Commissioner Tobby, or you for that matter, chooses to put something in public in a meeting or in a newspaper that you've been advised not to by the city solicitor, and there is future legal issues and attorneys to be hired, then you personally should be responsible. It was very disappointing when, against sunshine rules, 4 of you, I won't mention your names, stood here in the corner, I happened to be by the door, discussing the matter that was just discussed, Marketplace Realty.
15 seconds,
And
Ms.
Commissioner Tobby's words were, as she was coming out, and I heard them loudly, I have nothing to apologize. Well, maybe you do, and maybe you don't, but for the sake of the taxpayers, and for the sake that you were elected to represent everybody, apologize already. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good afternoon, Dan Stecker, 500 North Suffolk Avenue, Ventnor, New Jersey. Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. I am the office manager at Marketplace Realty. I think this has gotten blown way out of proportion. Commissioner Talby, I don't personally know you, but I applaud all of your efforts in protecting the taxpayers of the city of Margate. The wrong, and there's only one wrong here, was that something that should have been brought up in what you're supposed to do, names were brought up and it got blown out of proportion. I can honestly tell you I've known Gigi Rosenberger for 30 years. I can honestly tell you that she has gone out of her way, not only with the city of Margate, but with every other person who comes and asks her for a donation or for help, that she goes out of her way to do this. Nobody is here to berate anybody. There is no witch hunt against anybody. All we want to do is right what we think is a wrong. Commissioner Talby, in an email that you sent to Mr. Gallagher and asked to pass on to Ms. Rosenberger, you said one statement which I think summarizes the whole thing. You have a reputation, you value it, and you want to protect it. So does Mrs. Rosenberger, and so does her business. The three businesses that are involved here are all small businesses. They're not corporate, they don't have a big backing, and they were all very generous and continue to be generous to this city. I would like this to end, and nobody's asking for blood. All we're asking is for what we believe was a misunderstanding or wrong to be righted. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
May I address? I meant no disrespect at all to Marketplace. I don't know Gigi, and I hope someday I can meet her. I did phone her twice and haven't had any return phone calls. My point was that we have a signed resolution authorizing a public bid for advertising on the beach shacks and the tents for 3 businesses. One paid in full and the other 2 did not. That's what I brought up. In my opinion, this got all twisted against me, and I guess I don't understand why. It's not about Marketplace. It's about the fact that we have a resolution, number 24, I believe, authorizing this public bid. And the signs were up all 3 summers, and not only were they up, but we also paid to have them redone after Sandy, and I think one of the bills was like $3,300. So I just don't know how that could happen internally. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Dan, we don't usually give people a second chance.
I'm
but
sorry,
you're
and
certainly
I
right.
promise I will be brief.
With open arms, Dan.
I think one of the misunderstandings is that in 1990, or in 2008, when all this started, this city came to the businesses. The businesses did not come to the city. And the businesses graciously donated. In 2011, when it came back up for bid, number one, in 2008 or 2009, whenever it was, the city happily took a business check. When it came up in 2011, Gigi was told it would be a different price, and it was not, but that's fine. She sent immediately a deposit check over to the city. The person who took the check over was sent back and told that a business check was no good. It needed to be a cashier certified check. That annoyed her. Not only annoyed her, it annoyed me from somebody who bought at a cost of $75,000 to the city 10 new boats.
Just for the record, I wasn't here then.
And I do appreciate that, and I realize this is out of your tenure. And you were bringing up something you weren't aware of. The facts are that after she was told her business check was no good, and then not only was the contract she was sent no good, it was going out to bid, she said, forget it. I'm not interested in doing it. It is not her obligation to go remove the signs. It is not her obligation to call the city. There was no contract. We are a real estate business. We deal in contracts every day. I have people that make offers every day. If there is no signed contract, there's nothing. Again, you brought up a very valid point. You asked a very valid question. And trust me, I'm not a resident of the city, but I appreciate somebody who does that. The problem came when, instead of saying, I have a question about beach advertising, that then two businesses and one person in particular, and that is my boss and my friend, their name was brought up. There was never a contract. She never agreed to do it in 2011, and it was not her job to remove the signs. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Lady.
I just have a question for us then. Why do we have the resolution?
Well, we'll do that, so we will find that out. Okay.
Just a quick brief statement. You hired Ford Scott to make sure things were caught and not happening. Why didn't Ford Scott catch this? That's the auditor's job. You know, you're looking the other way, but you hired Ford Scott. All they've done is gone after Tommy Hiltner and $30 and $27 in petty cash because you feed them information. So why don't you call Ford Scott and ask them, okay? And stop pointing the finger at everybody else. If you did your job before you put any information in the paper, you would have done your research. You would have found out there weren't contracts, would have found out there weren't invoices, and you would have taken care of it instead of slamming these poor people and then pointing fingers at your CFO and then Dan Campbell. I wasn't here. Do your research before you open your mouth.
Any other public comment? Is there a motion to close this section of public comment?
I'll make the motion that we close the comment.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Dalby?
Yes.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on resolutions or second readings of ordinances?
Sewell, 22 West Drive. Mayor, your undivided attention to resolution number 50, authorizing the CFO to execute business agreement with Innovative Risk Solutions on behalf of the city of Margate. Would those Innovative Risk Solutions perhaps include the fact that JIF has turned down your request for representation not once but twice? Or is this a redundancy? I thought JIF handled these risks. Can we get a clarification from our esteemed solicitor, Mayor?
Which one now is it?
It's 5-0. You can get RSEP too.
Has nothing to do with the GIF is the answer.
John, that's Innovative
Has
Risk
to do
is
with
one
our
of our
medical
health
insurance.
people.
Just simply the medical insurance and the
Correct.
risk incurred there too.
That is,
And is there any cost to this resolution? This agreement?
I don't think there's...
No, there's no cost.
No.
It's a HIPAA requirement.
Well, that's very good to know. It seems we're going to have
I can't talk about it, it's
greater privacy. Greater privacy.
It's HIPAA.
Thank you.
anyone else?
3 minutes.
Resolution 5-1. I brought it up before, I'm going to bring it up again. Before Mr. Deeney leaves, someone needs to address what happened with Rapawano's contract and bills being billed without a contract and a payment. It needs to be addressed. So you want to wait till Mr. Deeney leaves, that's not really fair to Chief Wolfson, but it needs to be addressed. I will take it to whatever levels I have to. I don't need a response here, because whatever response I'm giving here is not, you know.
Under Mike? Mayor, let me address this. Maybe we can put this one to rest.
Okay.
It's a professional legal service. He is
Right.
the attorney of record for the city in ongoing litigation. Yes, it's true, his billing time went past his allotted contract, and the governing body could say, we're not going to pay it. Possibly, and possibly he have an argument that he's entitled to what we call quantum merit, or the ability to be compensated. However, the governing body, by a majority vote, has agreed to retain and keep Mr. Rappuano involved in this litigation and to pay him. So that's the end of the story. It is legal. It's not illegal, as you say.
Purchase order?
I don't agree with it.
Okay,
He's
well-
allowed to keep representing the city. He is our attorney of record.
Well, he's not under contract to keep
He is now,
reviewing.
yes, he is under contract.
He already billed the $42,000, they
He
expanded
is
the
under
contract.
contract now, retroactive.
So, retroactive, so he already billed that.
Nunc pro tunc, as now from the beginning. So we are
is-
there.
Is there
and
another
we're-
contract now?
We are permitted to do this.
Is there a new contract? Or is he done?
We are waiting for the budget to pass, but there was a resolution, and we had a contract. We have allocated additional funds for him. Is that correct, Mr. City Administrator?
Okay.
Don't let me say anything that's incorrect.
Another $100,000, right, on top of $135,000?
What can I tell you? People
$235,000.
file suits.
But let's
are-
not spend
we're
any
negotiating with
money
Jif.
on the dunes, because that would be, we don't want to spend any
We're-
money on that.
well,
Thank you. I'll take care of it.
Anyone else? Motion to close public comment.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Tom?
Second reading of ordinance 2014-03, the cap bank ordinance.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Ordinance 2014-04, second reading of bond ordinance for various water and sewer utility improvements appropriating $180,000.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Ordinance 2014-05, amending Chapter 103 bulkheads regarding replacement cost and repairs in the next 3 years.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Ordinance 2014-06 is the first reading authorizing the sale of an undersized lot at Lot 38, Block 41, for the amount of minimum bid, actually, in auction for $10,500. Second reading is March the 6th at 5 p.m.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Ordinance 2014-07, bond ordinance authorizing the issuance of $3,734,000 for various capital improvements. Second reading, March the 6th, 5 p.m.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Ordinance 2014-08, first reading of bond ordinance for various water and sewer utility improvements in the amount of $974,299.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Resolution 47 approves payment of claims and payroll.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Resolution 48 amends the temporary budget.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Resolution 49 calls upon the legislature to comply with the same provisions of Oprah as the rest of the state are required to comply with.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Resolution 50 authorizes the CFO to execute the business agreement with Innovative Risk Solutions.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
51, authorize the appointment of Chief Wolfson as a temporary assistant to the administrator.
I will gladly make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes, and thank you, Chief.
52, authorizes transfers in the 2013 budget.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
And 53 is the introduction of the 2014 budget.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Tom.
I'll make that motion that we adjourn.
Second?
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Thank you all for being here.
That was short and sweet for me.
Yeah,
Was it, well, it was short, but it wasn't sweet.
You're